Hello everyone, I'm Colrain, or Colrain Tarot here on YouTube. If you're new to my channel, welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber, welcome again. I hope that you enjoy this video. Today I really wanted to read into your energy on what you're emitting or what energy you give off, and then also what your true essence is or what you know to be true, and some more truth to just your personality or how your energy is influencing your personality right now. So I have piles 1, 2, and 3, and I do have stones to go with them, so let me put them out. Pile 1 has this blue rock, pile 2 has this little sandy rock, and then pile 3 has this white rock. And I also wanted to set the intention as we light the candle together and do some energy clearing before we get into it, but otherwise the timestamps are in the description as usual. So as we light this candle, I want to set the intention that this helps us come to a closer union with ourselves and with the social environments that we are in. So as we light this, and then also I wanted to spray an aura clearing spray to just clear the surrounding space and make it calm and just prepped for our guides of higher wisdom, compassion, and love to enter the space. So without further ado, if you find which pile is calling to you, the time will be in the description and I will meet you there. Hello pile 1. If you chose pile 1 or this little blue rock, then this is going to be your energy reading of what you give off versus what you know to be true on the inside. So for the card that we got for what you give off, we have the Fool here. And the Fool, in this term, I do feel like it's more of being misunderstood or people seeing you as differently than you see yourself. So with the Fool energy, I do see this as people kind of not taking you as seriously. Maybe people don't take you seriously. They don't think that you know what you're talking about sometimes. And but also there is a lightheartedness to you. I feel like you don't really dip into some of the more complex topics of reality. You don't really put in your 2 cents if you're not really sure how it's going to be received or if it is going to be received well. So I do feel like there is a certain amount of like happy-go-lucky, go with the flow kind of energy to this pile. And I do think that people appreciate your lightheartedness and the way that you are able to just kind of hear people out, listen to people, and not really have to like confront them all that much. But with the 7 of Pentacles in reverse and then the 5 of Wands, I do feel like there's something underneath the surface. There's something brimming underneath that you kind of keep to yourself, or that people have a sense that maybe you want to speak up about things. It's almost like you're this quiet person who people are intrigued about what you think, but they don't really have the courage to ask you necessarily. So I do feel like people are kind of, you're somewhat of an enigma to a lot of people, and people don't really see you all that clearly sometimes. Because all of these cards together, do you notice how this one has like that light yellow color? It's kind of like just the very like tip of the essence of your expression, but not much more because there isn't too much color to these cards. So I do feel like people sometimes have difficulty reading you, or you come off as a little bit like confrontational when you do express yourself a little bit more, and not in a negative way. It's just like with that 5 of Wands energy, it's just intense. Like something about this group is with the outward expression of yourself, there's just, it's sometimes like rigid, or people don't really know how to deal with it. And I personally relate to that. I understand, like, if people don't get you, like, I get it. It feels weird to like kind of not really fit in any social situations, or in many social situations. It doesn't mean that you're completely isolated, but I do feel like you're the kind of person that you kind of keep to yourself a little bit more, and people recognize that about you. With the Hanged Man describing your internal self, or who you know yourself to be on an internal level, I do feel like this is a lot deeper and a lot more like you're seeing seeing the way that you interact with other people as kind of a sacrifice to preserve some sense of dignity or preserve an emotional health. I do feel like there's somewhat about this that you may be part of like more marginalized groups socially with that other kind of hiding behind like a mask or some kind of facade that you've put up energetically towards other people. But I do feel like with this Hanged Man, you are somebody who recognizes that the experience that you have is very important, and it is an important experience to be able to share on some capacity. I did get the phrasing revolutionary when I was pulling cards for you, and I do feel like you're the type of person that has a vision. With this Seven of Pentacles in reverse, I do feel like this is something that you're going to change. Like this energy of like kind of being blocked off is temporary, because I do feel like that Seven of Pentacles is pointing out that you are going to envision yourself very differently in the future and see yourself being somewhat of the opposite role of the role that you've created for yourself as being like kind of more subdued and like in the shadows. So I do feel like this is you emerging, or you kind of figuring out, well, how can I transform? How can I get the most out of my own energy? And the Son of Cups and Daughter of Pentacles also came out. So the Daughter of Pentacles is a little bit softer of an energy. This is somebody who is a little bit quieter, a little shyer. This would correspond with the Page of Pentacles. So this is somebody that is just more in touch with the material, also trying to think of how you can take steps in the right direction. I do feel like there's a lot about your career and about like particularly like social justice career or having some influence on people. So this also could be, you could be like a therapist or looking into like psychological stuff or sociology, also just like political activism, law, that kind of a thing. You definitely have something that you want to say, and you notice it in social situations by taking that step back and observing rather than putting a lot of information in. And I do feel like this Fool could also be that you've recently changed a lot, and that people notice that you're not the same that you used to be. Like there's something about you being a lot different, or just being on a different wavelength than a lot of other people. With the Son of Cups, I do feel like this is talking about, whenever I see this card, I think of intensity, and I do think of emotional intensity, and this corresponds with the Knight of Cups. And so this also could be that you have like past romantic history that has kind of made you have to go through like an emotional transformation and revealed to you certain aspects of yourself. So I do feel like you're somebody that is very in touch with your emotions, and you are somebody who likes to use your emotions for the betterment of the situations that you go into. So I do feel like your emotions are something that they don't rule you, but you do have some, I'm thinking of like somebody training a horse, like when you have to like break in a horse. I forget, I should know this because I've ridden horses before, but like when you the only phrasing that's coming to me is break in the horse. But like when you're training a horse, you have to like get it used to having certain, like, it's like giving yourself self-discipline, I guess, in the emotional realm. So I do feel like you're somebody that's working on that right now. You're trying to figure out your emotional self, and also know when it's okay to like keep things to yourself with this more passive energy, and how you can use that emotional intensity in your like career life, and so that it's not something that you have to like be so hush-hush about. I do feel like you're somebody that when you were younger, you tried to keep a lot of your emotions to yourself or suppressed a lot of emotions, and now you're trying to integrate them into your reality and figure out, okay, how can I express my emotions in a healthy context without them being overwhelming to me or other people. I do want to pull an oracle card for you just to close out this reading and give you a little bit more insight about who you are on the inside and like your personal self, I guess. So guides of higher wisdom, compassion, truth. Okay, we got 2 cards for you, pile 1. We have emergence, and then we also have fertility. So these are both cards about beginnings, and then you also have the Fool as like how you're expressing yourself in an external form. And I do feel like in your internal world, there's just a little bit more depth. And so I think that like trying to integrate the external and the internal, trying to bring more of that internal world externally. I know for some of you that may be through the projects that you do, the creative things that you have going, and I know I don't think all of you are actually like all that into creative projects, so I do feel like for others of you that's more of like the way that you speak, the lifestyle choices that you make, are they in alignment with who you know yourself to be, what you want to do in your future, how you want to influence others as well. And I do think getting in contact with people who are like-minded to you, so like whether that be certain friends that you already have in your life that have similar experiences and also have similar objectives and goals, I think that that's important. So I hope that this helped clear up some stuff about who you are and like how you can bring that in. And I also do think there's a message for some of you that you just need to laugh a little bit more, have a little bit more fun, loosen up, and you're gonna get more in contact with a lighter and lighthearted, like childlike side of yourself as well, and it will just enrich your world. I hope that resonated, Pile 1. I was very honored to read for you today, and I hope that you have a blessed rest of your day. I'm going to move on to Pile 2. Hello, Pile 2. If you chose Pile 2, this is going to be what energy do I give off versus what energy do I really hold within myself. Like I guess the potential of who you know yourself to truly be. So I wanted to start with the card that came out for your external self, how people view you, how people perceive you when they meet you, or just people that you are in close contact with every day. And we have the King of Pentacles, or the Father of Pentacles in this deck. So this is somebody that is just very amiable to be around, somebody who, I got the word like complacent, or someone who, I guess, on the outside, like you're kind of a people pleaser. So you're somebody that really likes to see other people be happy, other people enjoy themselves. You don't really want to like rock the boat. You're not all that intense. You're just a very sweet and kind and generous person. And with this like deer figure, it's also you're a little bit quiet. You're on the quieter side, so you're not going to speak up all that much, but you do have that strength, and people do respect you with the father energy coming through. I do feel like this is people have a lot of respect for you, so if you did choose to speak up, you're doing it in a respectful way. You're not being too intense, but it's because you have this emotional intelligence about you, and you definitely are somebody who is very well set off in terms of like career and finances. And even if you don't really have like a job, you have a strong idea of what you want to do, and people really respect your ideas of how you want to express yourself in terms of like money making, or just the mark that you want to make on the world, like financially. I do feel like some of you also have a really talented gift for cooking, and you do a lot of like cooking magic, I guess, where you put that intention into your food. Whether it's conscious or not, you are healing people through the food that you make. Also with the Nine of Wands here, I do feel like this is coupled with the Eight of Cups, and these are kind of struggle cards. At least I like to interpret them that way. I do feel like this is a more positive interpretation of like a struggle card. It's just seeing that each struggle that you have is another step on your journey. I do feel like externally though, sometimes you like to talk a lot more about the issues or the more negative situations that you go through in life, rather than dwelling on the positive. So I do feel like a lot of times with your friends and coworkers, family members, whoever you're in close contact with, sometimes the focus is shifted more on the negative. And I don't want to say that to discourage you or dishearten you, but if this is coming through, I'd rather let you know, so that you can understand how to possibly focus more on the positive and see each thing as, like I said, like each thing that happens, it doesn't have to be something that piles up, like how all this broken glass is just piled up here. It can be a step on your journey, getting you to emotional fulfillment, helping you understand your emotions, understand the doubts and the fears and all those, I guess, darker sides of life that sometimes are harder for us to face. So while I do think that it Sometimes if our focus is always on the negative or always on where we have lacks, sometimes it can also help other people transform through being able to discuss this and have a healthy discourse about it. So I do feel like you're not always dwelling on the negative or anything, but I do think that you have it's like a healthy realism, I guess, about the situations that you've been through in life. And people do see you kind of as respectable. With this Father of Pentacles, people see you as respectable because of the things that you've gone through. And also, I have a feeling that a lot of you are pretty open about past things that you've gone through. I feel like a lot of you may have been through like some kind of traumatic situation. So because of that, you are able to be understood and resonate with a lot of different people who may have been through harder times in life. With the internal self, you definitely are very strong, and you see yourself as this very strong person as well, because the Queen of Swords or Mother of Swords came through as your internal self. So you're somebody who is very in touch with your intuition, with your receptive side of your internal personality qualities. You're somebody who is trying to nurture people, but you're not going to baby people. You're also going to put yourself first. And I feel like this is something that you've done through those things that you've learned in life. I do feel like even if you're a young person, you've had a lot of things in the past that have brought you to being this very strong person and also this very decisive person. You're not afraid to push things out of your reality that are not serving you. You're kind of like, okay, well, I'm going to be a nurturing, loving, beautiful, creative, passionate person, but also if you mess with me and you get on my wrong side, I don't really need you around me. So we also have the Daughter of Wands, and this card I do think is somebody who's dedicated to their spirituality. You could be a very spiritual person, or you just are very in touch with the more I guess paranormal or esoteric philosophies of life. Even if you're not religious, you do really you think a lot about your existence and who you are and why you're here. So I do see this as somebody who is really connected with the cosmos, with the idea of how yourself relates to the world around you, and you like to see the beauty in life. And I feel like you can also spend a lot of time by yourself, and you aren't really all that worried or concerned about validation from others, but you do like to hang out with people that you resonate with a lot. With the Chariot and the Empress here, these are the last two cards that came out. I do feel like you're somebody who is trying to go in a new direction, because with the Empress I associate this, not all the time, but sometimes, with fertility, and the Chariot is also going after what you want. So I do feel like you're somebody who is trying to trailblaze in a way. You're trying to figure out what you want in more of a career sense and how to establish yourself in the material world. I do feel like you're also releasing some kind of trauma at this point, with the Chariot being associated with Cancer energy. I'm thinking of home life. I'm just being drawn to that. I do feel like you are trying to analyze, with this card being associated with Virgo as well. I do feel like you're trying to analyze those past relationships, past mistakes, and past situations, specifically in your home life, that may have shaped you into the person that you are today. So I do feel like you are heading in a new direction and trying to figure out why all those things happened and how that relates to you personally in the present moment. Well, I do feel like you see yourself as a very strong person. You also are very in touch with your more delicate side and the compassion that you have for others. So I do feel like you're somebody that is very into not only being knowledgeable about the things that you are passionate about, but also emotionally attached to those things as well. So I do feel like there's a more soft side to you that is very internal, that you don't let a lot of people see. That's I feel like, because you show yourself as this Father of Pentacles figure, even though you are vulnerable about the things that you've been through, there's more of an emotional side that you don't always show to people. So that's important for you to look at. With the I pulled a final card, which is an oracle card for you. relating to your internal self. Sorry, there's a lot of sun happening. But with this allowance card, this I think is more of an advice to you with your internal self. And I do feel like you are about to have a specific situation come into your reality that's going to teach you something and help you finish healing out any of that, like that emotional stuff that I was talking about that was coming up. I do think that you are going to be able to heal that soon if you just allow for situations to teach you and for the universe to be your teacher. So this is just talking about letting whatever comes in, whether it be positive or negative, things leaving or things coming in, just allowing them to pass through us and for us to feel our emotions as well. So anything that arises emotionally, letting yourself experience that and then also releasing it, and letting yourself learn what you need to learn from it. So I hope that this resonated, and I hope that this helped you wherever you're at on your journey. I was very honored to read for you today, Pile 2, and I will see you in another video. Bye! Hello, Pile 3. If you chose Pile 3 or this little white rock, then this is going to be your energetic reading on how you present yourself and how you energetically influence the people that you are in close contact with, but also how you know yourself as an energetic being. So let me get situated a little bit. Sorry, the sun's moved, so I want to be sure that it's not going to be like blinding you. So for the card that we got for your self that is picked up on and received by the people in your life, we have the Devil card. And I know that that is kind of scary, so I want to quickly start elaborating on this. Something that I feel is a message that I need to deliver to you regardless of when you're watching this, which is a more intense message, but the quicker we get through it, the better that we can transform ourselves. I feel like there are some of you that may in social situations be attached to either a relationship or a relationship to specifically like a substance or some kind of like behavior or belief or something that is just hindering you from connecting with others. I feel like some people, like, have you ever had a friend where they're in a relationship and all of a sudden they become so-and-so's partner instead of that person? You know what I mean? And they kind of lose touch, like they detach, excuse me, from their true self, or like being an individual unit. And I feel like in some sense there is something that is holding you to a specific thing or a specific action, just something in your life that is keeping you from your individuality and getting really in touch with yourself. And I feel like your friends or your family are just concerned and they want to connect with you a little bit more. This may be just having a conversation with somebody and being like, hey, have you noticed anything about me? Is there anything like that you've noticed that I can improve on? But also we have to be in the right headspace to ask those kind of questions as well. We have these 6 of Cups that came out, which I do feel like is nostalgia, and that's why I have a feeling that this may be a relationship for some of you that is kind of holding you. This could be a past relationship if you're separated from somebody, like being stuck in the past or being stuck on the memories that you may have made. An idea about yourself also, like being stuck in a past version of ourselves that just doesn't resonate with us anymore. There's something about energy that is lingering when we are interacting with things outside of ourselves that kind of keeps us from being in touch with who we know ourselves to be and the fullest potential of ourselves. And I don't want to say this to disempower you or make you feel upset. If this is resonating with you, then I'm very glad. But if this doesn't resonate, then don't take what I'm saying as me pointing out anything about you. This just may not be the video for you. And I did want to put that disclaimer out there because this is a very specific message and you'll know if it's meant for you. We do have the Mother of Pentacles though, and I do feel like this is a very positive energy that you give off. This is a great friend, somebody who makes space for others, somebody who is materially very generous. They like to share with their friends. I do feel like a message that I heard when I was pulling cards for you was that you have a very specific sense of style. You have something about your physical presence that is just comforting and loving, and people really appreciate. I am hearing for some of you, people anticipate the outfit that you're going to wear, or the makeup that you're going to do, or just the way that you are going to change. I feel like your day-to-day appearance is kind of up in the air. You like to put on a different persona, I guess, like in the different outfits that you put on, and people just really appreciate that about you. And I do feel like there's something about like the hugs that you give that people really enjoy. There's something about like the physical with you that is very comforting and loving, and people love to come up and just give you a hug, like how this deer is snuggling with its mom. So I do feel like you are somebody that people find a lot of comfort in, and you connect with people on like a heart level, and you make them feel very safe when they are in your presence. As for the internal self, we have the Father of Wands, and you definitely have a lot of intense energy and strong energy on the inside, and I don't want to say that in a negative way at all, but I do feel like there's a lot of like conflict within yourself. So there's something about, there's like some cognitive dissonance happening, and I do feel like it is related to the relationships or things that you have that maybe aren't serving you. And I do feel like on some subconscious level you already recognize this, but with this Father of Wands, I feel like the Father of Wands has the potential to be somebody that is very passionate, very loving, and very protective. And I also feel, because this snake is like kind of up, and I think it's a cobra, but it's like cobras you think of as being like those striking and protective snakes. So they kind of can be charmed in one way. That's why I feel like there is something in your life that is kind of dissuading you from being able to be your full self. But when they are aware of the situation, they can be very like striking and very powerful, and they can have a very large impact. With the lightning in the background as well, I do feel like this is just very strong energy, and you're somebody who is very passionate about the things that you know to be true. We also have the Tower showing up in your internal self, and this is also very intense and strong energy as well. I do feel like you are probably a fire sign with all of this fire energy. Like there's like the fire around the feet and the Devil card, and then King of Wands being your internal self. You're definitely a fire sign, like heavy fire energy. But also this card is on fire as well. And I do feel like something is changing, something is being shaken up, and you are questioning belief systems that you have, different things that you think about yourself, about others, the judgments that you may have made about certain people in your life, maybe questioning the ways, the storylines that you've told yourself regarding certain situations your whole entire life, certain stories about who you are as a person as well. I feel like these are kind of crumbling and changing. And you're seeing yourself, because I wanted to pull, in the other piles I only pulled 3 for each, the external and the internal, but I felt like on this pile I needed 4 cards for the internal self, because while I do feel like you're trying to figure out where to go materially and how your material world can reflect more of your internal guidelines and beliefs, I do feel like this 3 of Cups is talking about you wanting to be more in touch with the like laughing, playful, happy version of yourself, the celebratory self, knowing how you knowing which friends you connect with on a deeper, like more emotional level, and how you can interact with those people more. I do feel like you're somebody that brings people together as well, and you are a great organizer of other people, whether that be family members or friendships. I do feel like you're the type of person that is kind of like glue in those situations. You really like to see it from all sides, see everyone's perspective, and like be a voice for everyone. And I feel like that's something that you may have just started to realize about yourself. But you also do have a lot of like career opportunities, and I'm hearing for some of you that writing is going to be a very great outlet to help you like organize that those skills that you have already established and that are very innately internal about you. I do feel like you have had some kind of spiritual awakening recently, and that's why, or you're in the process of going through a spiritual transformation, and so your internal self is kind of waking up to that and waking up to the fact that you are a lot happier than you have been in the past, or that you previously conceptualized yourself to be. So I do feel like you're becoming a lot happier. You're seeing yourself as being capable of having happiness, having growth and abundance, all these different things. So I want to pull a final oracle card for you to describe your internal self and who you know yourself to be. And we had the root chakra come out. So this is, again, talking about your stability, your abundance, the way that you are influenced in the material. And I do feel like for a certain amount of you, this is specifically regarding healing the root chakra. For a lot of you, this may be mantras that relate to the root chakra, or listening to music, like the frequency that resonates with the root chakra, that kind of grounds you, balances that. Also, for others of you, subconscious, like sleep reprogramming is coming to mind, where you listen to things that are positive phrases specifically about abundance and your capability as, like, building up confidence as a person, self-love, that kind of a thing. I do feel like the root chakra is tied to self-love, even though we don't usually think of it as doing that, but I do feel like there are things that are like different rituals that you can kind of do that will help you along this journey, and to help you feel like you have a purpose in this world, and that where you are is meant for you right now, because it is. Every step that you take on your journey, you are meant to be there when you are in that place. So I hope that this helped you understand a little bit more about where you're at and what you do when you are in social situations, and internal reflection as well. So I wish you the best, and I was very honored to read for you today. Pile 3, excuse me, and I will see you in another video. Bye!